My name is Naweedullah, and I'll be talking about translating relational calculus queries to SQL. So, to preface this, there's some prerequisite knowledge you're going to need to have, so make sure you understand the stuff on the screen there, and I wouldn't move on unless you do understand those things. So the reason I chose this topic was I noticed a lot of people struggled with it on the quiz, and I figured it was just because of a misunderstanding about De Morgan's law. So I think a video about it might help some people, hopefully. So let's start with a quick review. So you can go ahead and pause the video and just kind of go over this stuff. If you get this stuff, it's pretty easy to you, then I'd move on. This stuff is pretty important to understand. Yeah, let's go ahead to the next slide. Limitations. So the biggest limitation is that in SQL, there's no command for the universal quantifier. There's only an exist command, which is for the existential quantifier. So whenever we, in the relational calculus, whenever we see the universal quantifier, we actually have to convert it before we translate that to SQL. And so, we'll see how we do that in a sec. So also we can't use the arrow operator, so we just use its equivalent instead, but that's pretty simple. So keep in mind for the rest of the video, we'll be using the following relation the person showed there. Alright, game plan. So step 1 is to write the query. So this is prerequisite knowledge, so I'm going to assume you know how to do that. And we're just going to focus on steps 2 and 3. Also, step 3 is really simple. Step 2 is kind of the hard part. So, we're going to really dig deep on step 2 here. So step 1, let's assume you get this, RCQ1. So again, don't really worry about what it means unless you want to. Just kind of assume that this is what you get, and let's see how we translate that. So yeah, on the bottom there, RCQ1, that's the same thing that we got from step 1. And so yeah, let's go over my steps. So the first thing I do, RCQ2, that's the first change I make. I add not, and it's underlined. And the reason why I add not is because not doesn't change the logic, so it doesn't make it invalid. And then I apply one of the nots so that the universal quantifier actually switches to the existential one. And so the second step there is I change the arrow operator into what it's supposed to be for an SQL. And so that's kind of a simple step, and that's in RCQ3. And so in RCQ4, this is kind of the difficult step here. So when you're here, what you want to do is you want to apply one of the knots, right? So that'll change the universal quantifier into an existential one. And then kind of notice that in RCQ3, that underlined knot there, that's not there anymore, because that got cancelled out by the knot we applied, right? So we applied a knot to that, and we applied a knot to p.age greater than o.age, and that actually gave it a knot. And so also we changed the operation from or to and. And so that's kind of a pretty basic example there, so hopefully it's clear. So let's move on to the next step. Yeah, so from here, it's actually pretty simple. You just kind of, the lucky thing is SQL has lets you use really similar syntax when you want to. So I'd suggest kind of using that, and you can write it almost the same, with some exception, of course. So just written like that. And let's practice a little bit more, because we really want to make sure we understand this. So step 10. So you can pause it here if you want to understand kind of what this query is, but I wouldn't worry about it. So step 11. Sorry, step 2. So again, that's what we're given from step 1 there. So the first change, we add that not, right? The second change, we change the arrow operator. Not too bad, all right? And the third is that we apply the not. So in this example, I made sure that I used an existential quantifier, just to just to show that it doesn't really make it more complicated. You can see that in the second change, that not just got cancelled, and so it didn't really even affect the existential quantifier. So usually what will happen is you'll either give the existential quantifier a not, or you'll just it'll just cancel out with its not. And so you never really push it through the existential one, though, so it actually isn't that bad to have those. And other than that, the operations, they switch, and yeah, that's actually about it. So converting it, again, you can pause it if you want to see this. Pretty simple, and that's it. Thanks for your time. Take care, guys.